See? I've been saying it for years. The Amazon drones are gonna turn on us and take over the world. And they all thought I was crazy. Night Raiders is brought to us by director Dennis Galette and stars elle-máijá Tailfeathers, Brooklyn letexier-hart, and Alex Tarrant. We follow a mother and daughter played by Tailfeathers and Hart. It's a dystopian, nearish future, and they live out in the woods just trying to stay away from all that bullshit. After a war, we don't really know what war, who the war was between, or what happened. We just know that there was a war and it left everything just kind of generally fucked up, and that the government's in charge and they're pretty oppressive. Apparently, if you are a child, or if you have a child, you have to give your child to the government so that they can go to an academy to become part of the government, like a citizen or something like that. I don't know, they didn't give us too many details on that. We just know that if you got a kid and they're under, I think, the age of 18, they're gonna take them, and if not, you gotta be on the run, and it's illegal to have kids, which doesn't make a lot of sense. How are they procreating? I mean, how do they keep the human race sustained? Are they just having kids, and as soon as you have them, you gotta hand them over? I don't know, we didn't get into all those details, but if you got kids, they're going away. So our two leads, Niska and her daughter Wasis, are living out in the woods just trying to stay away from all that when the drones come. And when the drones see where they are, they gotta get the hell out of there. And in the process, Wasis ends up getting injured and they have to go to a city. And while in that city, unfortunately, she gets captured by the oppressive government. Through a course of events, Niska gets involved with a group of Cree, which is an indigenous people, which also she is. And in doing so, she sees a possible opportunity to go and save Wasis, who at this point is in custody of the government and probably being indoctrinated. But in doing so, they uncover a plot that could possibly lead to her people being wiped out completely. So Night Raiders was a bit of a mixed bag for me. There were things about this film that I really liked, but then there were other things that kind of took away from the enjoyment a bit. The world that they created, I really liked it. It really reminded me of something like the Hunger Games or the Divergent series. It's got that dystopian feel going on. Very oppressive. You really want these people to rise up and fight the power. And by the way, I mean all that in a positive way. I actually like the worlds of the Hunger Games and the Divergent series. The stories end up getting a little bit sideways, but the actual worlds they created, much like this one, I'm really into. That kind of sounds really bad. I wouldn't want to live in these worlds, but I do like watching them. And we don't ever really get much of an explanation as to what happened to the world. How did it get this way? How did we get here? We just hear that there was a war and now these guys are in charge, and drones are all over the place and they drop food to the people that are terribly disenfranchised and just oppressed left and right. And I didn't need a super in-depth, detailed explanation or anything, but I would have liked to have had a little bit more than that. Why did this war happen? Who was it between? Did the government just attack the people? I mean, because that's how it kind of seemed. I don't think that's what it's supposed to be, but it kind of comes off that way. Either way, oppressed, all of us. Now, the basic story here isn't really that out there. It's not that different from things we've seen before, but I did like that they tried to do things different with the story than we've seen before. There were events that do occur in this movie that you think, oh, they're gonna go down this way because we've seen this before, and the movie did do it a bit different. Like how Wasis was captured. The fact that she was captured wasn't unexpected at all, but the way they went about it was very unexpected and a pretty moving scene at that. Now, even though there were unexpected elements to the movie, as I said, we've seen this kind of movie quite a few times, and due to that, many of the story beats and the things that happen in the film are a bit predictable overall. Still enjoyable, but predictable at the end of the day. Now, this movie has a message, and that message deals with colonialism and land being taken from indigenous peoples and things of that nature. And that's fine, but this message and the parallels in the story to real life, they are not subtle in the slightest. I do like the way they implemented the parallels in this movie to our past, but the continuously telling us about it, physically in the movie, characters saying it to the audience, was a bit much. Every time I would get into the story and just really be into it and feeling it, it would get really heavy-handed all of a sudden to just pull me right out. I mean, the message here is good. I just wish the filmmakers had trusted us, the audience, enough to figure it out for ourselves. A bit of subtlety can go a long way when conveying your message. But subtlety is not the name of the game here. Just throughout the film, they will continuously bring it up and really hammer it home. And I know that's the message, but messages are a lot more effective when you do it a bit more subtly. Now that being said, I did enjoy the vast majority of this film and the story. However, the ending did leave me wanting a bit more, but not in that really good kind of, man, that was awesome, I just want more, can't wait for a sequel. It left me wanting a bit more for this one. It just kind of ended. I didn't hate the ending. I mean, it was okay. I just wanted a bit more. Better than being bad though, so I can't complain too much. Performance-wise, everybody was really good. There's some legitimate talent here, and they're all giving it their all. Now, some of the characters do come off as a bit bland. Not the actual performances, but the characters, the way that they're written. I can't really say that any of the characters in the movie are all that terribly memorable. They're all performed well, and none of them are like terrible characters, but none of them are terribly memorable characters either. I did like the character of Wasis. She was probably the most interested and fleshed out character in the film, but my biggest issue with her was one of the big things about her character that happens later in the film. They really build it up like it's going to be a thing, and then when we get to the moment of truth when this thing should happen, it's just like, oh, that thing, just never mind, forget about that. This was a bit disappointing because this was an interesting character, and this thing that they set up for her character was probably one of the more interesting things about the movie, and it did really play into the message as well. I don't know why they didn't lean into that a bit more. They set it up like this was going to happen, but when this conflict was ready to go down, it was just like poof, it was gone. I appreciate the fact that they explored that, but they just didn't go all the way with it. Overall, I would like to see more from this world, but maybe practice just a little bit more subtlety next time and allow your characters to breathe a bit more. Guys, I enjoyed Night Raiders, but I couldn't help but want just a little bit more from it. For every positive that there is an equally large negative. There's some really good performances here, an interesting story, and a message that does deserve to be heard. But on the flip side of that, none of the characters are terribly memorable. The story ends in a pretty anticlimactic way, and that message, while it does deserve to be heard, is handled pretty heavy-handedly a lot of the time. This movie had a lot of potential, and it does fulfill some of that potential, and as it stands, it is absolutely worth streaming.
Across the street.
Overall, I did enjoy this movie, and if you're into dystopian films and you're okay with there being some message preachy moments in the movie, then check out Night Raiders one night, and I think you're gonna have a decently good time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of Night Raiders. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below, become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys, and possibly join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Greg C. and Dragon Con. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Saskatchewan! And when I said this was a message movie, I was not playing. Earlier this year, I reviewed Candyman, the new one, and I had said that while, yeah, the message was good, it had a good message, it was a bit heavy-handed with it and it needed more subtlety. This movie, though, it makes that look like the most subtle thing ever. This movie is really heavy-handed at times. So much so that every few minutes, I feel like it needs the message guy that was in Don't Be a Menace to South Central or Drinking Your Juice in the Hood.
Message!
To just pop up and throw out the words, message!
Message!
You know the guy I'm talking about, right?
Message! The fuck is he talking about?